There is a school of thought in the Terran Consolidation Fleet that the most dangerous weapon aboard a Colossus II Dreadnought is not the main battery. Not the missile stacks, not the siege lances mounted on the dorsal spine that can strip orbital infrastructure from 800,000 kilometers. The most dangerous thing, according to this school of thought, is the power management console. Specifically, the switch that takes it from cold running to full active in 11 seconds flat. I sat behind that console for 22 days in the shadow of Kethis Aforv. My name is Vael Wren. I was a petty officer, sensor and comms, aboard Ion's Pale Threshold, a Colossus II Stuons block ship, 2 kilometers of armored hull and bad intentions, tucked into the amber cloud-top shadow of a gas giant at the inner edge of the Kethis corridor. If you have never sat inside a cold-running Colossus II, you have never understood what silence actually weighs. We ran on battery local for 22 days, passive sensors only, no active pings, no reactor bloom, no drive signature. Outside, from any sensor sweep operating at standard commercial resolution, we looked like nothing. Like a rock. Like debris. Like the kind of scatter you catalog once and ignore forever. The Duvari Secundus Combine cataloged us on day 4. I watched it happen in real time. A commercial survey drone from their lead hull, they called it a prospector unit, a little automated wedge that swept corridors ahead of their convoy for navigation hazards and salvageable material, ran a standard active sweep of Kethis I cloud-top region and pinged our hull. The return was consistent with a derelict. Dead reactor, no drive bloom, structural mass in the right range for a mid-class freighter that had come apart against the gas giant's gravity gradient at some point in the past decade. They logged it as debris field Kethis 7. They assigned it a commercial salvage classification. They moved on. 9 hulls. That was the Duvari Secundus survey element working this corridor. Heavy-bodied ore trawlers, with extended cargo manifolds and flat-plate ventral, fins for atmospheric scooping. Not warships, not even close, but big enough that 9 of them in loose formation filled a corridor. They were doing what the Combine does, mapping resources, filing corridor rights, establishing commercial precedent in transit lanes nobody with a meaningful navy had bothered to claim in writing. They do not fight for territory. They file for it. And by the time anyone notices, the paperwork is 20 layers deep, and the corridor has been leased to 4 subsidiary entities with different charter jurisdictions. Captain Ord Sylvain knew all of this. She had been briefed on Duvari Secundus commercial doctrine the same way I had. Through a very dry intelligence packet that used the word "sistent" 11 times in 4 pages. She sat in the command chair for 22 days and did not say much. She drank her coffee. She read her reports. Occasionally she walked the length of the bridge and looked at the passive display and said nothing, and went back to her chair. Day 22, at 0614 ship time, the lead Duvari hull transmitted a formal salvage claim signal on frequency band 7, is the interspecies commercial band, maintained by the Corridor Transit Authority, for exactly this purpose. The claim was for debris field Kethis 7. That was us. I flagged it. Protocol requires flagging all transmissions to the command position. I flagged it with a priority marker, which I had not used in 22 days, and I watched Captain Sylvain pick up her coffee. The flag summary on the arm display set the coffee down and say simply, "Helm, bring us up." 11 seconds. That is the number that gets into the briefings, into the after-action assessments, into the technical appreciation documents that Duvari Secundus apparently circulated internally for years afterward. 11 seconds from dead silent to full active plant on a Colossus II. What that looks like from outside, if you happen to be a commercial survey vessel that has just filed a salvage claim on what you believe to be an inert debris field, is approximately as follows. First, the reactor signature. A Colossus II plant at full output produces a thermal bloom visible to standard commercial sensors at 600,000 kilometers. In the gas giant shadow, where the ambient radiation from Kethis Aforv was already saturating certain frequency bands, this bloom was, according to the Combine's own post-event sensor logs, were later shared through the Corridor Transit Authority as part of the incident filing. Quote, inconsistent with debris field Kethis 7 and inconsistent with any natural phenomenon cataloged in Duvari Secundus operating parameters. Their sensor officer flagged it as equipment malfunction. She flagged it for approximately 4 seconds, is how long it took for the second data point to arrive. The running lights. A Colossus II carries 312 running lights. Fleet standard requires only the navigation array, which is 41. The other 271 are there because the ship is 2 kilometers long and moving. Without full illumination in a convoy context is a collision hazard. In the amber shadow of Kethis IV, at 0614 ship time, 312 came on simultaneously. Because that is what happens when you bring a Colossus II from cold running to full active. You do not get to pick which systems spool in which order. You get all of it. I imagine, from outside, that it was something to see. The Duvari survey element's response was immediate and, I will say, professionally executed. All 9 hulls went to full stop within 30 seconds. Their formation tightened. Not an aggressive posture, but a defensive cluster, the kind of arrangement that says we are a convoy, not a warship group, and we are aware of the distinction. Their lead hull transmitted on emergency corridor band, which is above the commercial band and below the military band, a position I found both technically correct and genuinely funny, because it suggested that whoever was on their bridge had taken about 15 seconds to decide that this situation did not fall neatly into either category. The transmission was in trade standard, it said, Duvari Secundus survey element to unidentified vessel. We are a registered commercial operation under Corridor Transit Authority, Charter 7741 Kethis. Please confirm identity and operating status. Captain Sylvain responded in trade standard, which she spoke without a translator, because she had spent 8 years on corridor patrol and had turned it the way people learn languages when they have no other choice. She said Ian's Pale Threshold, Terran Consolidation Navy, operating in declared corridor space under standard patrol mandate. Your salvage claim on debris field Kethis 7 is noted and declined. Please confirm receipt. There was a pause. 41 seconds, I timed it because that is my job. 41 seconds is a long time, on an open channel, when 9 hulls are sitting at full stop watching a 2-kilometer warship illuminate itself. The inside out. I spent those 41 seconds watching my sensor returns. The gun ports cycled to standby, not to fire, just to standby. The automatic state during full plant activation. A fact the Duvari survey element was either unaware of or found deeply alarming regardless. The drive bloom settled at full output steady state, which from outside reads as a ship deciding it is not going anywhere in a hurry because it does not need to. Then all 9 Duvari hulls began broadcasting simultaneously. Not weapons, not drive signatures. They broadcast on the emergency distress band, the commercial loss notification band, the Corridor Transit Authority incident report band, 2 frequency ranges I had never seen used before, the Duvari Secundus internal insurance claim bands, dedicated commercial frequencies, because the Combine processes enough claims that routing them through general comms would create congestion. They were filing paperwork. At 0614 ship time in the shadow of Kethis IV, 9 commercial survey vessels were simultaneously broadcasting insurance claims, incident reports, distress notifications, and what my system eventually translated as a formal withdrawal of salvage claim on debris field Kethis 7 with attached notation of discovery error and commercial loss liability request. Captain Sylvain watched the readout for a moment. Then she picked up her coffee. Log it, she said. To no one in particular. I logged it. The Duvari Secundus survey element withdrew in good order, slow, professional, no sudden movements. They cleared the corridor by 0730. The lead hull transmitted one final message before they jumped. Salvage claim Kethis 7 withdrawn. Pre-field reclassified. Safe transit pale threshold. Reasonable enough. The Duvari Secundus Combine rerouted 17 of their registered transit lanes in the Kethis corridor system over the following 8 months. The Transit Authority logged the reclassification of our operating area from open commercial transit to sovereign Terran patrol corridor, which has a different tariff structure and a different set of filing requirements that the Combine apparently decided were not worth navigating. They never submitted another salvage claim in our patrol sector. They never filed for corridor rights in any of the 3 adjacent lanes either. 6 years the corridor stayed quiet. I used to think about that during the long, cold-running watches afterward, when there was nothing to do but listen to the passive sensors and drink the same terrible coffee that everyone on Analysis Laws 2 drinks because the galley synthesizer is calibrated for endurance, not flavor. I would think about those 11 seconds, about what it takes to move a thing across the line from unknown quantity to known fact. Not through action, not through negotiation, not through anything that takes time and words and the willingness of both parties to interpret generously. Just by being seen is a threshold for every star. Below it, the thing burns quietly for a long time and nobody outside the system thinks much about it. Cross it, and the result is not a negotiation. The Duvari Secundus Combine understood that before we said a word. It was the 11 seconds that taught them. Paperwork came after. It always does. But the understanding arrived with the lights.